Shemai, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Charlotte.
And welcome to the Purple Sector.
So today is another episode of the F series. So if you're new here, it's when me and these lovely ladies come together and discuss a topic around F1 and the motorsport world.
As always, we're joined by the lovely Dornie, Kira and Beth, and all their links will be in the description bar below.
So today in this episode we are going to be discussing about what we are feeling about the new tracks that we've seen this year, and also what tracks we would love to see and not see on the 2021 calendar. So my first question for you lovely ladies is, we've already seen tracks such as Mugello, and we'll be seeing the likes of Imola and Portimao as well. And so my first question to you is, what do you think of Mugello, and what do you think the other new tracks will be like?
So the first thing for me for Mugello was, oh my god, it's so pretty around there. I wasn't
so
even
nice.
looking at the track, I was looking around wow, it's so pretty, it's gorgeous. And I think even if we had a mad racer, which I think we wouldn't have got when we didn't have a million red flags going on, safety cars, all of that jazz, but just having the experience of seeing a new track was good enough. Maybe if it happened for a second year and not much happened, then we sort of question, oh, do we really like Mugello? Do we want it to continue? But just that initial excitement of having a new track and being like, oh, we have absolutely no data, the teams have absolutely no data on who's going to do really well at this track, that made it exciting. And that's something I really want more of in Formula One, because there's certain tracks which are on the calendar year in, year out that we know doesn't produce that exciting racing. So I don't understand why we still have them, especially with the result of what's happened within this year. We've had to go to all of these different tracks and see what works, and we found things that work, things that don't. So I think it proved that Mugello we all really liked. Whether that will be the case for the next couple of years or not, if we go back there, I'm not sure, but it definitely proved a point that we would like more exciting tracks on the calendar for the upcoming seasons.
I think, kind of contrasting with that, I loved Mugello as well and thought it was so pretty, but you're kind of talking about exciting tracks, and I don't know if it was exciting because of the track or if it was exciting because none of the drivers had experience on the track. We saw crashes and bumps and bangs in both F1, 2 and 3 at that opening corner. And it was just because the drivers were so kind of untrained as to the track. So I definitely think the element of newness, words for me today aren't working very well, but you kind of get what I say. What I'm trying to say is that the fact that the tracks are kind of new and a new kind of new attempt. Oh my goodness, Kira,
okay?
take over, please.
Right, I'll just ignore her. I'll carry on. So, Mugello, it was good, wasn't it? I like the fact that they didn't have any data. I like the fact that they had to go blind. They couldn't, go back historically and look at every single year, because that's what we want. We want more of that excitement and the unknown element, and I really liked that. I thought that was amazing. I think going into the weekend, I wasn't sure how it's going to be because, one DRS zone, one real overtaken zone. It could have been like one of those tracks, but it wasn't, and it also wasn't for Formula 2 and Formula 3. It did make it a little bit exciting, but we did run that risk, and I think you would if we were to keep Mugello on the track, or on the circuit. No, what do you call it? On the circuit? I'm losing my words as well. On the calendar. That's what
Calendar.
If you were to keep it on the calendar, you would run the risk of it becoming like a Spain or a France, because it is such a fast flowing track and there is kind of one main braking zone into turn one that you can kind of get somebody. However, they made it work. I think they did make it work. Obviously it was difficult in Formula 1 because the red flags took up most of the however many hours we were kind of under the racing time for, but in terms of Formula 2 and Formula 3 it was good. But it's difficult to judge a track on them series because them series are just mental every single weekend anyway. But I liked Mugello. Yeah, you think?
I was going to say as well,
She's just butting in, that's fine, just carry on.
Something that I've learned is I really like elevation in tracks as well, and Mugello, there was a lot of that as well. That's something that I just wanted to say that. It's like I'm someone that I look at tracks and I'm like, yeah, it's a racing track. I don't really care for it much else. I'm just hoping it gives good racing. But I really like elevation in tracks, and Mugello had that, so I really like Mugello.
I did.
I think that's like most of the nice tracks have, like Spa, Brazil, like all the traditional tracks have like these great elevation changes, and then you go to somewhere like Abu Dhabi and it's pretty much flat.
Get in the bin.
See for me,
France.
you've missed out the best bit of Mugello, all of you have. The gravel traps.
Yeah.
Honest to God,
Stop
they
stealing
were
my point.
godsend.
I love gravel traps.
Amazing.
Like, for me, that was the best bit about Mugello, was if you made a mistake and you went off, you went off.
You're in the gravel.
Like, if you look in Formula 2, you had the incident with the two high-techs, with Luca Giotto ending up getting beached in the gravel, and it's like, and George Russell in qualifying, is if you make those mistakes, you're on the edge. And the fact that the track limits, normally it's like, oh, you must stay, you don't go beyond the white line, and then it's like, actually no, the gravel trap will be at the end of the track for you. If you go off, you're pushing it literally to the limit, and I think Mugello has been a good track. The only issue I have with it is that they need to move the start-finish straight, because I think it should be earlier on. But I'm looking forward to some of the circuits coming up. Like, for example, if you look at Portimao, especially you have the sections between turn 5 and turn 11, where it's shaped like a foot. Honestly, that looks to be exciting for me. And it'll be the first time we've had a Portuguese Grand Prix since 1996. I think Imola will be interesting. I don't get why it's not called the San Marino Grand Prix again. I think it should be. And the fact that only Kimi's the only current driver to have raced there, because it hasn't been on the calendar since 2006. I also think Istanbul will be interesting, because the last time it raced there in 2011, it had, I think, the most pit stops in 80 and most number of overtakes in a dry race since 1983. And Turkey, I think, was underestimated when it was on the calendar. But I think they've got kind of a good variety this year of tracks that test different driver kind of skills, and it's not just all massive turn sections or massively fast-paced sections. It's that kind of mix and balance, and I think this is probably the most exciting, like, track-wise year we've had in Formula 1.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. I really liked Mugello. I think it was so pretty, and I think it was just a nice change to have a new track on the calendar. And also I kind of like the fact that if you messed up near one of them gravel traps, that was it. Like, it was either you are on point or you're being beached, and I kind of like that, because it kind of meant like they have to be proper racing, proper concentrating. So yeah, I agree. Also, I was talking to Steph earlier, and she said that if we do have Mugello on the calendar more often, would it become something like a Spain? Because I think this weekend was obviously, or last weekend was obviously, like once in a blue moon. Like the amount of red flags and safety cars that we had, that is what made it exciting. But would it still be that exciting if we just had a full-on normal race? I don't think so. But who knows? I think I really liked it being added onto the calendar, and I think they should try it again next season and just see how it goes.
Give it a go. Why not?
I agree.
So, moving on, I think we can all agree that some tracks on the calendar produce very boring and very predictable races. No matter how much we change up the calendar, we're probably going to have some boring races at some of the tracks. So my question is for you girls, what tracks would you give the boot off the 2021 calendar?
France and Spain. Get rid of them. I'm sick of them.
Yeah.
I mean, year after year they just produce boring races, and I don't know why they're still not on there. In particular Spain, because we have winter testing at Spain as well. The fact that we have winter testing there and then we have a race there, personally for me, I find absolutely ridiculous, and I've had enough of it. I think I don't know if Formula 1 needs to put some kind of criteria that if we have the same results at the same teams getting the same results year on year at that track, or we have X amount of overtakes, or just ask the fans, do you like this track? Would you like to see this track again this year? And if the fans say no, try something else. I think Formula 1, it's starting to, especially within this hybrid area, it's become something that we all don't want it to be, and that is, from time to time, it is awfully predictable, and both France and Spain produce those predictable races, and they're snooze fests, and you could literally turn it on, watch the first lap, turn it off, watch the last lap, and then you'd be like, what would you miss in between? Genuinely, what would you miss in between? So for me, France and Spain, get rid of them.
Yeah, I would completely agree with France and Spain. I'd probably say as well. Right, I love that we go to Australia, but Albert Park, I don't like it. I don't think the track is great. I don't think the racing is very interesting. I don't really like it. Same with China. I don't really get the hype. There isn't really the hype. I feel like you're waking up so early for some of these races and they're just not very good. So maybe it's not like, oh, I want to get rid of the country. I feel like if we were to explore what other tracks they have in that country, so say if they had another park in Australia, we should look at something like that, because I don't like Australia. I don't think it's great. Maybe as well, like Russia. Sometimes Russia isn't very good, we know that. So like Russia, it's a massive country, look at it. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of other tracks we could explore that are probably better. So it's not just like, oh, I want to get rid of that country and swap in another one. It's, we need to look at the tracks. And yeah, I would say obviously Spain, France, then Australia, Russia, and what else did I even just say? China, that's the one.
That is a lot.
I know, sorry. I just get fed up.
Kira says, bin off the calendar.
Yeah, bin off this. We're not doing it. We'll go go-kart instead.
I am going to play devil's advocate and say that, can you imagine if we had races like Mugello and Monza every single week on, week off? Like,
it's just because you
deal
can't
with it.
That's
Deal
the only
with
reason
it.
you're saying
Deal with it.
like,
I
oh
dealt
no,
with
it'd just
Pierre
be too much.
winning.
But also,
Deal with
in
it.
terms of, say, damage, look at how much damage in cars and retirement and reliability issues. I don't think it would be sustainable. Like, the teams need these kind of more boring, more predictable races to ensure that they can compete and can make it to the end of the season. I
They
don't
just
know
need
if
to
I'm
not
just playing
shut them,
devil's
don't
advocate.
They just need to start driving back a bit better.
They need to not crash.
Yeah.
Simple.
Understatement of the century there, Kira.
Stop shunting.
No, I get what you mean, Dornie, but then also, like Kira said, there's like 5 boring races, so we don't need 5 boring races on the calendar. I also agree. I love Australia. It's like one of my favourite countries, but that track is just so freaking boring. And to have that track as an opener as well,
Yeah.
like, I know, I don't even wake up to watch it, because I know I'll wake up and it'll be either Lewis or Valtteri that have won it. I don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. to watch that. Also, obviously, Abu Dhabi, I find that such a boring closing.
Why is
to
it the
season.
closing?
Oh,
Why?
bring
It's
back
obviously-
Will.
The money is there obviously for that track, but it is so boring. I would love to see Brazil to be the closing again. But yeah, obviously the one at Spain, I think we all know that Spain is just a no. And also, I just don't really like Sochi either. So I agree with you, Kira. There's so many
There's so
that I would
many.
actually
We could
just...
stay here all day.
And not even just to bin off. Like, there's so many tracks in Australia that have so many more corners and like overtaking zones that if they just prep that track to get it in the in the grade whatever you need, it would be so good. Grade 1.
All I will say is I will start the petition to get the Adelaide Street Circuit back. For me, it was on from 1985 to 1995, so I wasn't even born when they were racing there, but the videos and stuff, it just looks such an amazing track with the long Brabham Straight. And for me, is Melbourne does set the tone for the season, like Charlotte said, is if you are having a dull opener, is it doesn't exactly set a high threshold for the rest of the season. And for me, I agree, France needs to be binned off, Spain needs to be binned off, Sochi can go. There's probably a couple of others down there that could go. And I think my biggest thing is... and Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi can go, because I think Brazil is a much better kind of season finale. But Formula 1, over the past couple of years, have decided we're going to add more and more races onto their calendar. The calendar's only going to be shorter this year because of circumstance. Is they add more triple headers, more races in. And for me, that doesn't make it exciting racing. I would rather have a 15 race calendar that was full of amazing dynamic races going from March to November than have a 21 pack calendar filled with average tier tracks that, to be honest, aren't there because they're good tracks or because they're iconic things like Monaco or Silverstone, but they're there because of money or because of politics. To me, the racing should be first and foremost, and so I would sack off half of these tracks and go for it. And also is return to some of more of the old school tracks, because like for me, I'm really glad Imola's back on the calendar because it's one of the few tracks that's actually run in an anti-clockwise direction and it'll provide a challenge for the drivers. But they just seem to go with, oh, this place will pay the money, And even when they do, they build such boring tracks that as someone who's followed Formula 1 for pretty much your whole life, sometimes I sit there and think, why do I bother? Because they are just so unengaging and unexciting and predictable.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that we actually do need to get some more exciting tracks on there, or even just try and change a layout like we're going to be seeing in Bahrain, the second Bahrain race. So like me and Hannah have spoken like a lot on here about like our favourite tracks and stuff. So I just want to know, with like these inclusions of the new tracks this season, I think that new/classic tracks should be included one way or another in every season. So I just want to know what tracks you would love to see on the 2021 calendar, and what is your favourite track of all time?
Right, I am going to just say this straight away. Monaco. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of Monaco, just because it didn't produce the exciting races. I can see that it's a very technical circuit, and it is one of those things you make a mistake and you are out, there's no coming back. However, let me do a little flex on you guys. So I went to Monaco a week after the Grand Prix because my boyfriend was working out there, and luckily for me, all of the whole track was still laid out. So obviously Monaco is a street circuit, it literally runs on the main road, but all of the sponsors, all of the cages, everything was still out, and I got to walk around the whole track, and that was really great for me because I'm not a very visual person. If you show me like track layouts, I will not be able to tell you which track is which. That's just not how I work. But being able to actually walk and actually be in Monaco, because Monaco just gives this vibe which is unlike anything I've ever experienced. If you have never been to Monaco, go book yourself in like the south of France, go to Nice where it's a bit cheaper than actual Monaco, pop in on the train, it only takes about an hour, and just go and experience it, because it's a feeling like no other, and I can see why all the drivers love it. So for me personally, Monaco has to be on the track. But then if I'm looking at what my favourite track is, I think it has to be Brazil, because in such the short period of time that I've been a Formula 1 fan, Brazil is the track that everyone says, this is going to be a banging race, this is going to be amazing, we're going to get some drama. Even if the results seem to be something that you predict, there's always drama along the way anyway. So Brazil is 100% my favourite track.
I would say, in terms of the ones that we are racing this year that I think should come back next year, definitely Istanbul, because I was never a Formula 1 fan when it was on the circuit. No, I keep saying on the circuit again, on the calendar. I was never a Formula 1 fan when it was on the calendar. However, Turkey is my favourite country. There's hands down, there's no two ways about it. I love Turkey. That's the only reason why I'm really picking it, is because I love Turkey. And I want to go there. That's why I want it on the calendar, because I would like to go to Turkey next year. Why are we laughing?
Just the way you
Why
say
are we laughing?
Turkey's my favourite country.
Turkey is my favourite country. That's like the 16 is my favourite number thing I said. Anyway, ignore them. I want to see, because Turkey is my favourite country, so basically for me I would like to go to the Turkish Grand Prix next year and get a holiday and a Grand Prix in one, so that's why I'm picking Istanbul. In terms of my favourites on like the normal calendar, Silverstone is just classic, it's amazing, I love the vibe. If you've never been to Silverstone, go. The vibe is unbelievable, it is packed, everything about Silverstone is amazing. But I also really love Baku, and I know that it's not everybody's favourite, but I think it always creates good racing. There's always unpredictable things that happen, and I like that it's really compact and tight, and it gives me just a good vibe. Like when it's Baku weekend, I love it. It just feels very like happy and like colourful. I don't know why, I just get such a good vibe from Baku. I would love to go one year.
No, I agree.
Yeah, you just get that Baku like vibe. So yeah, probably those are my favourites.
Kira, well done, Baku.
Well done, Baku. Oh no. Can't do that again.
Right, I'll go next. So for those of you who don't know, my birthday is the Monaco weekend, so my birthday doesn't feel like my birthday unless Monaco is on the TV and I'm drinking champagne whilst they're spraying champagne. So that is definitely one of my favourite tracks, probably more for nostalgic reasons than for track layout. I'm going to go with Singapore. I love the night race and the lights and how pretty it looks, going on Kira's vibe. And then also, this one's probably a little bit controversial, but I would love to go to the Mexican Grand Prix. I think being the atmosphere in that stadium and like seeing those cars come through that stadium, I know it's not quite one of the better tracks, but for some reason I just really want to go to the Mexican Grand Prix.
No,
and then
vibe.
I'm also gonna quickly shout out Sepang because, oh my goodness, that track, I like remember those, I don't even know what they're called, like the canopies above those, like the main and the back straight. I just remember being little and just seeing them, and it's just a little memory I have. So I'm gonna say 4 favourite tracks.
If I was going to pick one to stay on the calendar, I kind of want to see Portimao because I'm really excited to see the cars race in there. Also Imola, because I feel like you said before, like it's just such a different track, and I'm excited to see how these new cars adapt to that track. My favourite track, obviously, I'm going to say Silverstone just because it's iconic. Can't wait to go next year. And also, Beth, you don't need to flex on us. My trip to Monaco was cancelled. So. But yeah, but I get the whole Monaco thing because it just looks so glamorous and like just so high end. Like you just want to like be there. And I also agree with Kira. I absolutely love Baku. I don't know about what it is about it, but like you said, like that weekend, I'm just like,
it's just a vibe.
Always like happy. It's like, yeah, it seems like such a vibe, and I feel like if you went there, it would just feel exactly the same with how you see it on TV. So yeah, Silverstone is my favourite, but Baku is a very close second.
See, for me, the one track I'd love to see on the 2021 calendar, but I know it's never going to happen, is the track they use at Le Mans. So it's the Circuit de la Sarthe and Sarthe. I always pronounce it wrong. But it's the mix of the track and public roads.
A bit long though, isn't it?
85% of the track is on full, or the circuit or whatever is on full throttle. So it absolutely hampers the Le Mans cars. But I just think it would be so interesting to have a Formula One race there again. I think Baku, I do love Silverstone. I went there back in 2016, and I remember a couple of drivers. We were sat on the farm curve and they had an off because it started raining about like 5 minutes before the race started, and it was absolute chaos, and I loved it. But my dream track, and it's the one I hope to go to next year, is to go to Spa. I just think Eau Rouge and the whole track, it's a beautiful place. The track is amazing, and it's just such an historic place for Formula One. Also, one place I'd like to see on the calendar, and I'm wondering when they're going to hurry up and do it, is a street race in America. There were rumours about a Las Vegas race, and then they seem to have died down again. I'm like, get a street race in America, because when Formula E have raced in New York City, it's been great, and I've enjoyed it. And I want to see more street racing with Formula One cars, and I think America would be the perfect place to do it.
Yeah, that'd actually be really interesting. I didn't think that.
I think we've been speaking about it for
brain.
a while. I think Lewis wanted Miami and Daniel wanted Las Vegas.
Miami.
So yeah, exciting.
Of course Daniel wanted Las Vegas.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did.
Righty ho, so that's a wrap for today's chat, and we want to know what tracks you would love to see on the 2021 calendar and what tracks you would give the boots. So comment them below.
So make sure you like this video, and obviously, like Hannah said, comment below your thoughts and opinions of your favourite tracks and the ones you'd boot off. All links for all these girls' channels and social medias will be in the description below, and make sure you look out for the next F-Series episode.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Au revoir!